Hey everyone, Tony Winston here for Jazz Classical Piano College, excuse me. And it's been quite a while since I've done any videos with Benny or if I've done any videos about classical music. So I thought I'd do this one out of Suzuki Book 4, and it's Minuet 1. It's from the Partita in B flat by Bach. It's a really great piece. So I'm just going to give you a few suggestions on fingering and, how to play it stylistically. So I've heard it many ways. I've heard it like all staccato. I don't really care for that. It's like trying to sound like a harpsichord, which of course it doesn't. So I like to do it legato with the right hand and slightly detached with the left hand. So kind of like this. And by the way, when you're learning it, it makes sense to kind of do it legato. It helps your fingers find the notes and then switch it to staccato. But you don't have to do it that way, but that's just a thought. Now, the fingering here in the Suzuki book, it's crazy, but for the most part, I really agree with it. So going 4, what is it, 4-1? I should get this. Oh, I don't have the Suzuki book. Darn it. I gave it to a student. I believe it's 4-1-3-1-5-1. Anyway, follow it. Now 3, 4, 5, and now here at measure 5, one of the hardest parts of the song. You know, it's like, I don't know, I always imagine, when you're out on a lake standing on 2 logs and the logs are splitting apart and you're, getting like this. So it's, it's one of these widening situations. Pretty tricky to negotiate. Now, if you can't reach this, it's okay. You can just jump for it. But a lot of people can reach even farther with their 4 and their 3 than they can with their pinky. So jump up there with your 4. Okay, now, left hand, mostly detached. And right there, it's a good idea, I think, to connect. And this book that I'm using shows all of that connected. And then back to staccato. So, doing things like 5-2 helps you get to the right finger here. And right there too, crossing with the 3rd finger puts you on the right finger on the right note. Now there are 3 places in the song where you have these 16th note passages, like right here. Sorry. Like that. All right, so, when you're coming out of that passage, your fingers are going pretty fast, so don't let them run away when they get back to the beginning here. Like, don't do this. And have it go real fast there. You've got to keep it kind of slow. All right, now, after you've learned the right hand and learned the left hand, anytime you're playing Bach, it's very advisable to learn each hand and memorize whatever you can. But when you're starting to put hands together, or even when you're just doing right hand, try doing it with stops like this. Now, a lot of times when you're doing stops, you stop on the 1st note like this. And, that's very effective also, but I've found that stopping on the last note in this piece, especially when doing hands together, really helps you prepare for the next measure. And, when you're thinking about what to play in the next measure and what fingering you're going to use, that little pause helps you play it correctly. And the more times you do it correctly, the quicker you'll learn it, because if you keep making mistakes, you learn those. You don't want to learn your mistakes. So now now I'm getting ready to do, I think, a 4-1-3-1-5. I don't follow the fingering in your book there. I don't have it. All right, now a little bit about the Suzuki method. They teach you this down, touch, up, down, touch, up. You know, the idea is that the first beat in 3/4 gets the strongest beat. But if you rubber stamp every measure to be that way, you know, it's not going to sound very good. You can start maybe strong here and here. Oh, sorry. But like right here, for instance, if you go bum, 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 dum, dum, it doesn't really sound that good to do that, so keep it more even there. And then maybe a stronger beat here. And you know, I think I would do it like more every other measure. I don't know if you can hear on the recording, but I'm kind of emphasizing here and here. Okay, and so right there, I like to end on 3, and so I have my thumb ready for. All right, and then a way to practice this. Maybe you could even practice just like right here. Is that right? And doing this small little things on certain parts of the song will really help you. Okay, the B section gets a little bit crazier. Now, in the Suzuki book, I believe it's marked forte. In this book, it's marked piano. Bach didn't write any of those dynamics, so play it the way you feel it. And whenever I play this piece, I don't think I ever play it the same way twice. It goes on the way I'm feeling. If I'm feeling, you know, happy here, I'll go, you know, really get into it. But this book says to play that soft. So coming out of the A section. I think soft is very nice, and then you can make it get louder here. And my book also says to start doing a crescendo at that point. But let's talk about this little spot. I have an alternate fingering here that I think is very helpful. Put your 2 here, so you end on your 1. That way, when you do this, it's all with fingers 1, 2, and 3, and you can go quicker on it. And crossing with 2 or 3, I think, works okay in the left hand, but 2 is what's given, I believe. And then maybe just practice this. So 2-1, 2-1. Is that right? Yeah. And I've seen Glenn Gould, well, not personally, but I've seen Glenn Gould practice like this way, where he just does a little thing like that to get it under his fingers, and then, you know, it's permanently in there for Glenn. For us mere mortals, we have to practice this stuff. All right, now here comes some of the hardest measures with the right hand. You got to follow the fingering here and everywhere. All right, and then up here, get your 2 there. And here's one of those widening melodies. And a nice B-flat major scale coming down. But don't play that last note, or if you do, play it with your left hand. And here's one that's a little different. see, let me do this right. So you should end up with your 4 here. All right, make sure you have that down. And then notice how the right hand after the tie comes in between the left hand notes. So it's 1 and 2 E and 3 E and like that. Or you can even count it like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and I know it's not in 6, but you know, sometimes it's just easier than doing 1 E and 2 E and to make the 8th notes be the beats: 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Just to get it started. 1, 2, 3. All right, now look at the fingering on this also. All right, so far it makes sense. 1, but do a little finger pinch here and do 2, because you're going back to the beginning of the B section. You want to end on that. So it's easy to do this. Just practice it a lot. 1 and 2. And then practice with stops. Isn't that how you do it, Benny?
Yes, that's how I do it. I always practice that way with stops. It really helps me learn it.
Well, that should be a wrap for me, but let me say this also about the left hand. There's lots of places in here where you can switch to legato, and I think it sounds perfectly fine. I've heard it done here in the B section. Let me start right here at measure 25. Like right there, I came up that scale and kept it legato, and then I would probably go back to staccato here. And I put a little bit of legato in there. And like I say, if you know the piece well enough, you can play around with it and, have a lot of fun. Minuet 2 goes with it. I'll do a video on that next week. And then, I've even seen this in a book of wedding songs, so you could use this at a wedding. It kind of reminds me of like a processional, and then the ceremony, and then the recessional if you do the piece in order like that. And if you're really ambitious, you can learn the whole partita. I mean, the first and second movement are really great. I don't have it memorized, so, but if you're interested, I could come back and maybe work a little bit on that. I will cover Minuet 2, and I will cover Gigue in the days to come. Thanks, everyone, and see you again.